they come out clean.
All right, y'all. Bird in the Buckets, man. Rashad Milligan. I'm here with my co-host Malik Brown. Malik, how you doing today? First of all,
Always doing good, man. Doing good on this Valentine's Day, man. How you living?
man, you know I'm just ball is life, so I'm in love with the ball as always. You know what I'm saying? But we got a special guest, man. We got a we got a special guest in the building. We got a special guest in the building, man. Hey, hold on. Here we go. There we go, Leak. There we go, Leak. Y'all might know this fella, you know what I'm saying? If you've been on Hawks Twitter, if you might been on Twitter, if you got the app Twitter, you might know this man right here. You might know this next guest, man. You know what I'm saying? Reggie's _ world. Sources say, you know, Roz Gold Nwude is interested in taking him out. That's just sources. That's just the sources. I don't know. But man, we got my boy Reggie in the building, man. Reggie, what's good with you?
Ooh.
What's up, guys? Thanks for having me on. I'm glad to be on here, and you know, I'm just glad to be here. Thanks for having me on.
No doubt, man, no doubt. Now we're gonna start off on kind of like a personal thing, everything like that. So for those you don't know, who love background or whatever, when I first joined the Twitter app, I was 15 years old. I am now 26 years old. Woo! 26 years old. I joined it when I was 15.
Crazy, bro.
I know, right? And then one of the first people I follow or whatever, I followed Hawks Twitter. I don't know how I found my way to Hawks Twitter, but I found Hawks Twitter, and one of the first people I followed, bro, was Reggie's World. Reggie, man. So all the way back then, the OG, before everything. It was
That's crazy.
So, man, I just want to, you know, just let the people know, like, your journey, everything like that on Twitter and, you know, following the Hawks. You being a Hawks fan, let us know.
Well, I've been a Hawk fan since 1999, so that's 22 years. So that's way back to when the Dikembe Mutombo and Steve Smith and Mookie Blaylock and that era was ending. And then from that point forward, you know, from the days of Sharif Abdul-Rahim, Jason Terry, Glenn Robinson. So I've been through the dark days of being a Hawk fan.
Dark days.
And then, so it started way back from then. And as far as Hawks Twitter, I've been on Twitter since 2009. So, you know, I was 20 years old then. So it's been a long time. I mean, it's been a long time. And that's it.
I feel
you know,
I've
been yeah, that's it.
I was about to say, I feel you on that. And you know, have you seen Hawks Twitter? And you know, we obviously kind of know about Twitter, you know, just how it's evolved from the 2012 era to now and stuff like that,
Right.
and kind of what people accept
Right.
and stuff like that. But on the Hawks Twitter side, how have you seen Hawks Twitter evolve?
Whew, some people have kind of came and gone. Like the people that I first interacted with on Twitter when it came to the Hawks. Some are still there that I interact with to this day, and then there's been, you know, a couple that's kind of left Twitter and they've done their own thing. And then, you know, from that point, you know, I've interacted with different other people. Some different folks have kind of came up, and it's been. I mean, I've interacted with a lot of dudes, a lot of people, male and female. So it's been a long journey, you know, and I've enjoyed, you know, getting into arguments and disagreements and even agreements, and you know, it's fun. You know, it's fun debating and, you know, expressing your opinion on Twitter about the Hawks, and really not even I know we're talking about the Hawks on this podcast or whatever, but like just sports in general. Like you know, I've been around sports for a long time, and I love it. I love sports. There's just not much to say about that, you know.
Right. And you went to the greatest university in the history of the world, right?
Yeah. Georgia, you talking about college? We're talking
Yes,
about
sir. Yes,
college,
sir.
right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, Georgia State. Yep. I went there.
G State.
Yes, sir. G State.
Yeah.
G State.
State, not Southern.
Yeah.
Hey man. But you know, before we get into the Hawks and everything like that, one more question on the Twitter side. You know, I know one of the first people. You know, you were in that first group. B McCoy, Leo, the preacher,
Yep.
and then Jamila. Those were
Yeah.
kind of like y'all were like my first few people I used to interact with on Hawks Twitter.
Yeah.
And
And
you know, just
there are a few others that
oh
you know
yeah,
that.
yeah. Oh no. It's a billion others, but y'all are like kind of like the first five that I can remember think of 2009. So like, you know, but
Yeah.
seeing Jamila come up the way she came up, you know, how has that been for you? Like, because I know for me it's just kind of crazy being like, I remember way back when.
You're on mute. Look.
Oh,
Oh,
can
yeah,
you hear
but
me? Okay.
yeah, I can. Yeah, but back to Jamila, like I've enjoyed it, man. I love her work. Uh, I love how she's. I remember when she had that little Jamal Crawford fan page, and how she's just evolved from that point on to just being like the media member. I know there's a few others like Brad and KL, and but
And
to see
Rashad
her
and
be
Rashad.
like, yeah, yourself too, and yeah, but to see all of you guys, but really Jamila, just to see her just evolve to where she's at now is it's impressive.
Because she was one of us, you know, like she was one of us. So it's just, you know, National
Yeah,
Women's in Sports Day just passed a couple weeks ago. You know, shout out to Nia as well. You know, Malik's right hand. But yeah, man,
Shout out for real.
shout out to both of them. They're both doing their thing, and a bunch of other women and stuff. But let's get into it, man. Without further ado, we ain't even gonna waste your
Let's
time
get
today.
it.
All right,
Let's
so
get it, man.
the Hawks. We talked about predictions. We gave predictions of this past week, upcoming week. I think Malik, what did you have him going last week?
We did have 4 games. I think 2-2, right? We both had what we had them winning the Pacers, not the Pacers. We had them beating Mavs and the Spurs, right?
I think I had them beating the Mavs, and
that
that
Yeah.
was
Mavs
it.
game was
I think.
tough.
Oh,
That was tough.
but we also hold on. We also gave that thing of hey, they could very well go winless just because we expect them to win the game this
True.
week.
Right.
So yeah, but yeah.
Right.
Anyways, going back on this week and stuff like that, starting with that Mavs game. Reggie, man, what were your thoughts on that Mavs game?
Uh, as far as that game, it's it's so frustrating because I felt like for that game the Hawks outplayed Dallas for 3 quarters, and then they just like Trey Young was solid, and John Collins was just having his way with Dallas's front line, and Kevin Huerter was doing his thing. So it felt like in that game the Hawks were up. They were up comfortable. Like you just felt like the Hawks were gonna like take care of business the way that game was
Yeah.
flowing. Then all of a sudden in the fourth quarter, Tim Hardaway Jr. just goes ballistic, and he's just hitting every contested shot. And as soon as he got hot, it was you just felt like the Hawks were in trouble. And
Yeah.
the momentum was just on Dallas's side. And I feel like that's kind of been a thing for most of the season for the Hawks, especially in their losses. It's not like they're not competing; like they're in all of these games, and it's like they just can't close. They can't figure out a way to close. It's like
Were they
defensively they fall apart sometimes.
they were competing in the
You know what?
Utah and the Spurs games?
What else? I don't. Well, I mean, well, if you look at Utah, I mean, Utah's blowing everyone out. So
Nah, Utah blew us
I
out
mean,
twice.
so if you're, but they have the best record in the league, and they're blowing. Like,
Yeah,
look
right.
at what they did to
That's
Milwaukee.
real.
They
Nah,
blew
that's
them
real.
out.
That's real. Nah, I understand what
So
you're saying, though.
like,
I mean, I
yeah.
get it.
So like, I mean, so like, even like they're with the exception of the Utah game and the Spurs game, they've been in every game, and
Yeah.
it's like they just can't figure out a way to just close games. And that's to me been the story of the season for them.
Right,
Yeah.
for sure. And you know, Kevin Neely, the stats guy, whatever, on Twitter and stuff. You know, he's talking about, you know, they're missing DeAndre Hunter, and you know, without Hunter, they're having such trouble in the fourth quarter. They were doing this when Hunter was healthy. That Cleveland game,
When
that
he
big
was
game
here.
at the beginning of the season at home, both of those games
Yeah.
were very similar, where they had double-digit
But
leads.
here's
Go ahead.
yeah. But I will say this: when Hunter got hurt, they were 10-9. So like it seemed like they were figuring things out when Hunter got hurt. And then all of a sudden, they're back to playing the way they were when, you know, when they were losing to the Knicks and the Hornets and the Cavs, and the truth is, like, they miss him. They miss DeAndre Hunter. Like he's the, I mean, we all like excuse me, but like he's their best creator after Trae Young. Like he's evolved to the point where like you can give him the ball and pick and roll, and like he can get to the lane and finish. He has a nice mid-range game. He's even shown a little. I mean, he's not like an elite pass or anything, but he's like he can make basic reads. And defensively, like he can guard. Like he's like last year he struggled. I felt like defensively last year Hunter struggled guarding like guards. Like this year he's gotten better at that. And like you don't have that. You don't have your, a guy like him who can, switch and guard multiple positions as well as what he does on offense. And it's a problem. It's an issue. And it's something that they miss. As well as, Bogey. Like he's another guy. Like they miss him too.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure. And would you even go as far as saying, like, you said he's their second best creator, but would you say he's their second best player?
I would say he's been there. I would say before he got injured, I would say he's been their most consistent player. I don't know if I would go best, second best. I would still give the nod to John Collins slightly, but like the consistency that he brings, the position, the wing, just a guy who can just switch, and the versatility that he brings, like that's valuable, and like they miss it clearly. As far as like him being the second best player, I mean, it's like if someone told me that Hunter was the second best player on the team, I wouldn't argue against it. I would still give the slight nods to Collins, but like DeAndre Hunter's good. Like if he's like it could be a tie between him and Collins as far as like who's the second best player on the team after Trae. Like, he's good. Like DeAndre Hunter's really good. He's become a really good, player in the second year.
So you think it's Trae, John, Hunter, and then Capella?
Yeah. And that, yeah. In a vacuum, yes. If you're talking about value, then you can make an argument that Capella's number is second behind Trae.
Yeah.
If we're talking about just value to the roster, but if we're ranking like who's the best player overall, I would probably say Trae's one. I will give a slight nod to Collins being number 2, Hunter 3, and then I would probably say Capella 4. If we're talking just
I like that.
best player in a vacuum.
are you trading John Collins if you can't re-sign him? Oh, my internet
Well, I
done
think the
cut
Hawks should
out.
resign him.
Okay, did you hear my question? My internet cut out.
Yeah, I heard it. I think they should. I think they should resign him.
I
I
mean,
don't.
but what if they
Well,
can't? So they offered him 90 mil. He said no. And you play this entire season. No, you know I'm not giving this guy 100 mil. So if you know you're not giving this man 100 mil and he wants 100 mil and a bad team is going to offer him 100 mil, will you trade John Collins?
well, for me, here's a if it came to that, then yeah, then they should trade him. But I think the Hawks should give him 100 million. I think the Hawks should give him 100 mil. I think John Collins this season, I think he's improved enough defensively. I think he's improved enough as a shooter. I think he's improved enough as a creator. Like you see him, develop that little fadeaway mid-range jump shot that he
for
has
sure.
sometimes in the mid-post. Like he's developed that. He can score on mismatches. If you put a little guy on John Collins, like it's just an automatic bucket. So he's improved. I'm impressed with John Collins's improvement. Now last year, I was a bit unsure as far as whether or not the Hawks should pay John Collins $100+ million. But I think based off of what he's done this season, just the fact that he's gotten better, and I feel like this season's been his best year as far as like an impact on winning, standpoint. Like I feel like this season John Collins is in their wins. Like you can just see John Collins making putting his imprint on a game this season. Whereas in years past, whereas like last season and before, he's putting up 20 and 10, but the Hawks are losing by 20 sometimes to the point where, I don't want to say it's empty, but like, sometimes.
Oh no, just say it. It's empty. And them empty stats.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. But I feel like this season, like he's done a really good job of just putting his imprint on the game. Even against Dallas. Even though the Hawks lost that game, like if you want to be honest, John Collins in that game was the best player on the floor in that game. Mm-hmm. And like I feel like in years past, I don't know if that would have been the case. So I think I think the Hawks should pay him. Like even in a vacuum, would I want to pay John Collins a max deal? No, but like if it came down to it, like if a team, let's say, a team like OKC, because they have a lot of cap space this summer. Like if that team came and offered John Collins a max, I think the Hawks should match it. Because I think John Collins has shown that like he just gets better every single season. He gets better every year. And if they pay him the max, like I don't think it's the worst thing in the world to pay a guy who gives you, the production that John Collins gives you, along with, improved defense. He can spot up and hit threes. He can score on the post. Like you can you give him the money, and then in a year or two, like if it becomes a point where like, okay, what the Hawks have isn't good enough to truly compete for a title, then I think you can move them. Like you just pay them and then figure out the rest later. That's kind of how I look at the John Collins situation.
Because Trey,
do you think?
Oh, go ahead, Malik.
Do you think he gets better than John Collins though? Like, do you think there's a player out there that they could get that's better than John Collins, or do you think that this is it? Like, this is the guy.
I don't see.
that's gonna like lead them. Well, he's not gonna lead them, but be that second guy to like win the championship. Or do you just think, or is it somebody else you think it's possible the Hawks could get?
You talking about this summer, or are you talking about like 2 or 3
Yeah,
years
let's
down the
just say
road?
this summer. Let's just
I
say
mean,
this
are you talking
summer.
about this
Or yeah.
offseason, or
Well, it's not really that many good free agents, honestly, if we're being honest this year. But I mean, just for it, would you trade him for Bradley Beal? Let's just keep it like that. Would you trade him for Bradley Beal?
I'm gonna surprise you guys. I'm gonna say no. I would say no.
Oh,
And to me, it's not about Bradley.
I don't think that's like the
I
largest surprise. I don't think that's the largest surprise. Only
yeah,
because
no,
like, and it's not so much a knock against John. It's more like a knock against kind of
I
like
Bradley.
Brad. It's like
yeah,
Brad is.
true, yeah.
You talk about empty stats with John putting up 20-10, losing by 20. Imagine putting up 60 and losing by 20. Like, wait, where is this 60 gone, bro? Y'all still losing by 30 points. How you score 60 points and y'all lose by 30? The other team score 8 points. Like, who else on the team scored except for you? But I don't. That's something I don't get.
But like I like for me, like I actually think this core that the Hawks have, like I think they have real potential to do something special. They just have to get healthy. And to me, it's not even just.
Yeah.
And to me, I'm looking at DeAndre Hunter. Like I think with what DeAndre Hunter has showed us, like before he got hurt, I think he could be a legit a legit like all-star caliber player. Like he's a guy.
Hunter is gonna have to get his money. That's the thing I'm thinking about when you think about giving Collins his money. You give Collins his money in a couple of years, Hunter's gonna have to get his money, and Trey's getting the supermax or whatever the heck he want. So that's a lot of money. So it's like, do you have enough money to give John? But like you said, give him his money now and figure it out later. So,
but his thing with Hunter, like he's gonna get his money, but he's gonna get it. But by the time he really gets paid, by the time that deal comes in, it'll be 2023. So we're looking at 2 years. We're looking at really 2 years after John Collins gets his money, if the Hawks pay him. So like by then, you might have a clear view as to like, okay, how good is this core? Like if it's to the point where it can really compete for something, then maybe you keep John Collins and DeAndre Hunter and Trey, and that team could be something. That core could be something. Or maybe if it becomes a point where when Hunter gets paid, and maybe you come to the realization that what we have isn't good enough. Maybe you move John Collins by then. You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like you don't know. You don't know what might happen. In 2 years when Hunter's deal comes up, when it's time for him to get paid. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I hear what you're saying. Malik, this is a question for you too. And way too early overreactions, that's what, people do on the internet and in podcasts. I got 2 people on the clock. 2 people on the clock right now. Y'all let me know. Have y'all given up on them yet? Or no. Just let me know where you stand on them. 2 people on the clock. Anyeka, what people call my twin, and
they call you a twin for real?
Yeah. They say I look like I'm like I don't look like Anyeka.
That's crazy.
Anyeka and Cam Reddish. Those are my 2 guys. Way too early overreactions on the clock. Where do y'all stand with both of those players?
Go ahead, Reggie. I'll let you go first.
As far as Onyeka Okongwu, I think it's too early. I think it's way too early. I'm treating this season for him like.
Hey, Reggie, you don't think 7 games enough? You don't think 7 games enough? Hey, how many minutes he done got? He got about 15 minutes. You don't think 15 minutes, 7 games enough to call him a bust?
Yeah, but look, man, I think with the Okongwu, I think we got to treat this rookie like a red shirt. Like whatever he gives is whatever he gives. If he's terrible, he's terrible. If he has moments, he has moments. Like you he came into the season with, he had an Achilles injury or something, so he wasn't healthy. We're in a pandemic. We haven't had training camp. I mean, he didn't have training camp. We haven't really had a lot of practice. So with a guy like him, like, he's gonna struggle. That's just the way it is. And on top of that, with the Hawks trying to make the playoffs, like, he's kind of in a tough spot. Like, I don't think he's gonna, like, Lloyd Pierce is gonna play him every game. So it's just the reality with a Conwell. Like, I think I'm still optimistic about his long-term future, but, like, I just think with him, like, it's too early. Like, it's just too early to gauge with him. As far as Cam, he played good yesterday, which was encouraging, but I don't want to say I'm drastic. I don't want to say I'm overly concerned, but I'm a little mildly concerned. I'm a little concerned just because the things that he's shown up to this point, like, the same issues he's had, now he had at Duke. Like, his shooting comes and goes. He still doesn't finish around the rim. He turns the ball over. He's playing too fast. So, like, with him, like his offense is just, it's rough. I mean, it's been rough for most of the year. I don't want to give up. I'm not totally giving up on him, because, like, defensively, he still brings a lot of value to the roster. But, when we talked about DeAndre Hunter and we talked about John Collins, like, those guys are establishing themselves as, like, legit, like, foundational pieces. And, like, you have, like, we know Trae Young's going to be here for a long haul. I think John Collins is going to be here for, at least for the next. I believe the Hawks going to sign him to an extension. So I believe he'll be here. DeAndre Hunter's going to be here, and Clint Capella, I think, is going to be here. So it's like, all of these got Kevin Huerter. They signed Bogey. Like, one of these guys, young guys, one of these young guys are going to be left out. You know what I'm saying? So that's where my concern is with Cam Reddish. It's not to say that I don't think he's going to be good long term. Like, I'm still kind of optimistic about his long term future. But, like, with, Trae and Collins and Hunter and Capella and even, like, Kevin Huerter, like, all of these guys are establishing themselves as pieces. Like, the Hawks aren't gonna. There's gonna be someone. There's gonna be one or two guys that the Hawks aren't just. They're not gonna keep long term just because of the economics. And that's where my concern is with Cam.
Shoot, I'm gonna keep it as simple as
like if he doesn't like.
Oh, go ahead, Reggie.
You can go. Like, if he doesn't become more. Like, if he doesn't become, like, if Cam Reddish doesn't become more consistent on the offensive end, just, play with more consistency on that end of the floor, like, in a year or so, like a year or so from now, like, he could be out the door. Like, so, like, he has to play with more consistency. I think he has the tools to. But he has to play like that guy that we saw the second half of his rookie year. And we haven't seen that guy this season.
My thoughts on him, I mean, I'm gonna keep it simple as possible. Work the gram. I mean, maybe if we ran some plays for him, I mean, maybe they be looking.
Okay.
Oh no, I'm tripping. I'm tripping, but nah. As far as Cam, I mean, the Twitter streets telling me that, he had a core muscle injury last year and he really didn't have any much time to practice. Then they telling me this year, so we in the pandemic or whatnot, and we just need to give him time. But it's like, how much time can we give the man? I mean, like I feel like the only reason he's kind of on the floor at this moment is because he can play defense. He's like one of the best Hawks defenders. So, but I mean, when it comes to offense, I mean, when the Hawks need offense, they put Solomon Hill in. They putting Solo in the game, or they putting Gallinari in. Yeah, Tony Snell. Yeah, they putting them guys in the game. So it's like he's really only in there for defensive purposes. I mean, you gotta keep him. You gotta put him out there at least just to give him some confidence or whatnot. But I mean, honestly, if we being honest, like, he's shooting the same shots. He's not doing anything different. Like, okay, he had a good game against the Pacers, but the shots that he was taking against the Pacers was the same shots we took against the Mavs and the Spurs. They just didn't go in. So at this point, I mean, it's just he has to be consistent. Like you said, Reggie, it's gonna have to take some consistency with him. As far as Okongwu, I mean, I'm gonna be honest, I haven't even seen much of him. No, go ahead, Reggie. Go ahead, say it.
Yeah. And the thing with Cam Reddish for me is, like, with the amount of attention that Trae Young gets, like, Cam Reddish is going to be open like almost every time. You know, like, all he has to do is knock down catch and shoot threes, attack closeouts, and just make simple reads. Like, that's it. And it's like he tried it, and maybe it's because, you know, he doesn't get enough touches sometimes, but like he has a simple role, and he just hasn't done it on a consistent basis at all. Like, if you look at his shooting percentages, like they're really, really, really bad right now.
Yeah,
like, they're ugly. And it's just like it's frustrating. Now, on the flip side with Cam Reddish, like, he did this last season, only for him to pick it up the second half of the year. So, you know, there's still there's always possible that he's going to play better, and I will figure that he will play better than he has played. And you just hope that, you know, the way he played yesterday against the Pacers can just be a start of that, because they need Cam Reddish to pick it up, especially without DeAndre Hunter. Like, they need Cam Reddish they need him to play better.
Right, for sure. And before, you know, we run out of time, because we only have 4 minutes left on the Zoom call. Just everybody go around and say real quick why you believe Lloyd Pierce should be given to the end of the season, or why not, in about 30 seconds.
Me?
Okay, Reggie, it's all yours.
Well, yeah, I think Lloyd Pierce should be given the whole year to figure this thing out. Like, he hasn't had a full healthy roster. DeAndre Hunter's hurt, Bogey's hurt, Gallinari's missed like half of the year, Rondo's hurt, Chris Dunn's been hurt, and like, it's not like the Hawks. My big thing with Lloyd Pierce is, like, it's not like the Hawks aren't competing. Like, it's not like they're losing by 20 points every other game. Like, they've been in all these games. Like, to me, you know, the players they have to figure out a way to close games. Like, they got to figure out a way to defend better. They got to figure out a way to make open shots better, execute. So, like, Lloyd Pierce deserves at least this season, and let's just hope that, you know, guys get healthy.
I say,
and then we can see what he can do.
I say give him to the end of the season. I mean, just the circumstances that he's in, you know, with, like you said, Reggie, all the injured players and whatnot, he really hasn't got a real chance, I guess, so far since he's been the coach of the Hawks. So, but I mean, at like I say, it's like with Cam Reddish. I mean, how much time do we give these people? Like, at some point, I mean, injuries happen. But you're gonna have to, at the end of the day, you're gonna have to work with what you got. So, and like you said, they're in almost all of these games. So, I mean, I don't know what you need to change. Like as far as if it's adjustments or if it's just rotations. Like it's got to be something. But I mean, I think they'll. I honestly think they'll give him to the end of the year, and I think they should give him the end of the year.
All right, guys, that is it for our latest episode of Birds and Buckets. We definitely got to bring back my boy Reggie. Everybody go around, shout out your socials.
Reggie's World. Reggie REGGIES _ world.
And you can find me on Twitter at _MalikATL.
Or ShyMiller.com. You can follow me on Twitter at Cheyenne Parker. All right, y'all.
And if they come out clean.